He was elected as flag bearer of the Convention People's Party on the 22nd of August 2020. Now, this would be the second time he's vying on the ticket of the CPP for the presidential seat. Ahead of the 2020 elections, we are here at the residence of Ivor Kobna Greenstreet to have a conversation with him about his plans and aspirations. Mr. Greenstreet.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, very well.
Yeah, Corona greetings. I mean, it's been about 3 or 4 years.
Okay, since we last spoke.
Since we last spoke.
Yes, yes, yes.
Everything
yes.
is fine?
All is well, yes.
I remember you saying you were still unbalanced. I mean,
okay.
After the elections, you were not
myself.
over
Yes.
your loss.
Yes, yes.
I mean, time has passed and all.
Of course.
How are you now?
Are
you ready?
I'm well and ready. You know, we had our internal processes in 2017, 2018, 2019. You know, and then Corona kind of delayed it because we were ready last year.
Okay.
But and then we had some internal issues, you know, which delayed things. But we are ready, you know, and we'll fight hard. As of 2017, yes, I was still in.
Yeah, because I remember you weren't even sure if you were going to vie again.
Yeah, you know, I think what happened is that in 2016 there was a real disaffection with the government at that time, the NDC, and I think because His Excellency the President now, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, had tried once and then twice. It was the third time coming, and I think people were ready to just go all out. Based on the promises that were made to give it to him. In a similar way that Professor Mills, I think, went once or twice, and then on the third occasion. So I think later when I reflected, I took solace in the fact that... well, you know, I mean, I watched some video of Usain Bolt some time ago, and it shows him, I think, in the 204 Olympics, coming last in the final. So you have to work on yourself, you have to train yourself, you have to enhance your message, you have to enhance your communication strategy, your party strategy. There's so many aspects you have to enhance. And so therefore, the first thing that we dealt was to be contributing to that internal reorganization within the party rank and file. And that is what we have done. And so let us see what 3 months can do.
Okay, so you're ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Talking about readiness, you also mentioned some time back that the EC is filing fees.
Yes, yes.
Unbalanced you a bit?
Significantly. And we considered it to be an abuse of discretion by the public institution, the EC at that time. They
haven't brought out their filing fees
yet. No, and that is what they did last time, you know, and that is not how public institutions are supposed to behave. There are ways a public institution is supposed to behave. For instance, if you're at home and your electricity bill is 100 Ghana, you may expect it to go up to 150 Ghana, even that is a huge jump. But for it to go up from 100 Ghana to 1,000 Ghana, I think there'll be a riot on the streets. And we are supposed to be practicing a multi-party democracy, not a duopoly. And it seemed as though the steps that the EC took were to almost, you know, entrench the NDC and the NPP. And if an ordinary farmer, an ordinary nurse, an ordinary person, you know, may not be able to be participating in that kind of monetocracy, where it's about the NDC and the NPP and their ill-gotten gains that they have only gained not from hard work, but they have gained by successively steering the affairs of our nation over a period of 28 years. We thought it was a low blow. But we don't know whether the EC are going to increase it to 20,000, to 100,000, or to reduce it. We have no idea. But obviously, October is not far away, and that is when the filing is due. And so now we have a new executive in place after last weekend's elections. The General Secretary of the party and other executives will be preparing towards that kind of documentation, meeting the documentation required by the Electoral Commission. The only challenge was that we had to find more cash.
Yeah. So you have more cash now?
Well, we may be more strategic. We have to decide whether we'll file the same numbers or whether it will be less. If you remember, on that occasion, we filed 222 candidates, which was a third after the NDC and the NPP. So we'll look at whether it will be a similar number or a lower number or a higher number. The new executives will be in place, we'll sit down. the research team are there, the political affairs team are there. They've been working together, and I'm sure they'll come up with a game plan.
There's this phrase you keep hammering. Ghana desperately needs the CPP.
And the actual theme of the campaign, which we unveiled at the swearing-in ceremony when myself, I was sworn as a presidential candidate. At that occasion of everybody being sworn in, we also spoke about the fact that a vote for CPP is a vote for yourself. And that is the slogan that we're adopting for this campaign. A vote for the CPP is a vote for yourself. Because we sincerely believe that 28 years of the NDC and the NPP, yes, we're not saying they're only bad people. There are good people in the NDC and the NPP. There are some good people in all our institutions. We like to look at what the good things that people have done. However, with all the resources that are available to this nation, we just don't think that the progress that they have been promising the people at every election and all the promises they give do not amount to anything in the daily lives of the Ghanaian in terms of their hearts, their stomachs, the cost of living, how far their salary will go at the end of the month, their families and all of these things. So we believe we need to change direction.
So a vote for the CPP is a vote for yourself. That's what you're going with.
Because actually, the wasted vote is to vote for NDC or NPP. Let me cite you an example of a pastor I was listening to, recently, and he was talking about change and the meaning of change. And he cited the example of a woman in a house who had been successively beaten and brutalized by the husband. And on the initial occasions, the husband would plead and say sorry for beating her, and they would make up. And on other occasions, the family members would be brought in and they would prevail on her to let it go for the sake of the family unit and for the sake of the union of the marriage. But the day that she decides to change and not tolerate it anymore, that day there is no turning back. Nothing the husband can say, nothing the family can say will allow her to change her mind and go back and tolerate those difficult and terrible circumstances. Nothing.
And you think Ghanaians have gotten to that point?
That is what we believe.
And what makes you believe that?
Because we look at the condition, especially in our urban areas now. I think 50 to 60% of Ghanaians live in urban areas. And if you look at the circumstances in which they exist, it's very, very pathetic for a nation that claims to be oil producer, gas producer, gold, cocoa, timber, diamonds, bauxite, all of these resources. Really, 56 to 58% of households in Accra live in a single room. Whole families living in a single tiny kiosk, and they are even the lucky ones. So many of them are even sleeping on the streets. Do you think those people are satisfied with all the talks that these successive governments have been giving? Do you think they, in their daily lives, wake up and say, hey, NDC has done something for me, NPP has done something, oh, I love this government? No.
Talking about NPP and NDC, I mean, they've already started giving out some campaign messages.
Yes.
You spoke about people without homes and all of that. The NPP says they are going to introduce the rent allowance.
Yes.
They are also talking about things like building a harbour and an airport at Cape Coast. The NDC says they are going to legalize Okada.
Yes.
I mean, what's your take on all of these things?
Well, I think these are important interventions. And anything that is an intervention that would improve the lives and opportunities of the ordinary Ghanaian, we would welcome. But I think we were earlier elected on the last weekend. We'll spend time to investigate and interrogate the exact details and modus operandi or method by which they intend to go about these processes. From afar, the little that I've read about the rent thing, which is an important recognition of people's difficulty in getting premises to spend in staying in Accra, having to spend a year in advance. Yeah. Whereas just across the border in Ivory Coast, you pay month by month, apart from your monthly security, primarily because the law allows the landlord, if you fail to pay, to evict you within about 2 or 3 days. But here, there could be some interventions in terms of monies being paid to the landlords and things. I think that's very important. I think something like that exists in the United States of America called Section 8. However, our issue is, and those to whom we try and offer our principles and policies and programs to, are those who have been completely missed out by the system. And then those clearly are in the informal sector. So I don't know how the majority of people who are in the informal sector, how they are going to be able to access this particular facility.
You're telling me some of the things you plan to do, but they are not out there yet.
Yes, I mean, we were elected last weekend. Research, I'm saying because I know we have internal research committees, political affairs committees, who've been doing some of this work. But now that a new leadership has been elected, they are now going to present that manifesto to the people of Ghana. I'm just trying to say that you are alluding to the fact that maybe we are late. We are alluding to the fact that maybe I'm only being suggestive of certain things. Yeah. But we will come out immediately with our. I mean, obviously, it means that we can't wait until November. No, so we will come out immediately with our policies and programs, so that within the next few weeks we come out clearly with our. Our position on various issues.
So in 2016, you released your manifesto about 40 days to elections.
Okay,
when
you have the date?
Immediately, it was around October 30th.
Okay, and when did the other parties release theirs?
Well, the NPP did theirs in October, early part of October, and NDC did theirs in September.
Okay.
So I'm asking this because you say you are releasing your manifesto almost immediately.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a particular date?
Clearly, we have to plan schedules and dates for many activities. We have to plan schedules and dates for the running mates. We have to plan the schedules and dates for the manifesto. We have to plan further schedules and dates for rolling out of this proposal of a vote for CPPs, a vote for yourself, and other key policy statements they will have to come out with. So these are the things that leadership will plan with, and because we're behind time because of this COVID and other things, we will have to release them. We have to do them quicker. We have to work harder and faster. But fortunately, there is a foundation of work that exists already that we can draw from.
Now we know COVID has affected a lot of things, including campaigning, like public gatherings and rallies. Is this going to affect you?
Well, unfortunately, Ghana we're by there, so. I know with Ghana Web, I will be heard on a regular basis. Ghana Web being a highly patronized online site. So this is going to be a site where many of our policies and programs are made available. And we know that once you give us the prominence in this period of time that you give to the major parties, and you're not part of the duopoly racket, that people will have the opportunity to read and hear about us, and then can take effective decisions.
Comes out, we'll project it.
Yes.
So we are waiting
project it
for
to
your
the same prominence that the other parties receive from you.
Well, we wait to see your messages and then we can proceed from there. But let's talk about your manifesto. It's yet to come out, but what are you looking forward to telling Ghanaians? The
policies of the Convention People's Party are entirely different to the policies of the New Patriotic Party and the NDC. Totally different.
How different?
NDC and NPP, their policies are very similar, but they try to use, should I say, magic and propaganda and phrases to make it look as though they're different. But they're the same. It is the same NDC and NPP who sat in Parliament many years ago to agree on what you call stability agreements in our gold sector, reducing the amount of royalties that we get from our gold for special companies like Newmont's, Anglo Gold, Ashanti, those companies, to 1.5%. This is something that we would never agree to. Okay? We believe rather in the reviewing and renegotiating of those contracts to earn far more revenue for the state, even though those multinationals will not like it. But we believe that we cannot allow our God-given resources to be sold for a pittance. We have a very, very wealthy nation, okay? But our institutions and our decisions and our strategies and our methods are not ensuring that those wealth are being made available to people of Ghana. Rather, the NDC rush off to acquire further debt to finance their operations, and rather NPP also continue, after calling the previous government a government who borrowed, now they're even having more creative and other fairly innovative ways to also go and borrow well into the future, burdening successive generations with debt upon debt upon debt. Whereas, as you can see, even in this small example, that the money itself is already here. So I think we have to be more patriotic, we have to be more nationalistic, we have to be more caring to the ordinary welfare of the ordinary Ghanaian by being better managers of our resources. okay, for the benefit of the people of this country. And that is what we represent. Many of these policies will be part of what we shall propose, and I'm very excited.
Powers and principalities.
There's so much fire inside me.
Tragedy struck when part of the largest hillside at the kosher rubbish dump collapsed.
It's going to be fun to see how he goes about approaching this game.
There's a lot of women participation in your party, even from the elections.
Yes.
What are your plans as a party for women?
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, once again, as with education, this is a party which believes firmly in affirmative action. It did so as far back as the First Republic, when the first female MPs were able to come into the legislature and participate in governance at that highest level. And so that is why I think we produce women who are so confident that they're ready not even to be handed down positions by men or organizations, but they're ready to fight for those positions themselves, as in the case of the current chairperson and leader, Nana Frimpongboa Sarpong Kumankumah, and the case of the general secretary, Nana Jantua. And so those will form the basis of our renewed commitment to affirmative action, to make sure that we don't believe in tokenism, that we believe in that 50% participation of women in the highest positions at all levels. And I think once we have demonstrated, even within our own structure, how committed we are by those who are leading us, and I think Ghanaians should have even more confidence in us, that we will make sure that that is precisely what we do when given the opportunity to steer the affairs of the nation.
Let's talk about education. I mean, the NPP obviously boasts about their free SHS initiative.
Yes. Yeah.
What are you bringing on board?
Well, so as I indicated before, free education is a good policy. It's an important policy, because that is how you build what you call one nation politics. You don't leave swathes of people, Ghanaians, out there without access to opportunity. And it's education which gives access to opportunities, education which allows your citizens to develop to the stage where you'd wish them to be, and be able to be happy in their daily lives and seize the opportunities that God may give them or they may earn themselves. So that is why I mentioned earlier, apart from the fact that we have made it clear, even in our 2016 manifesto, that we believe education be free at the tertiary level as well, we believe that skills are the critical aspect, or the critical gap, in terms of the content of education, the quality of education, and the type of individual we're producing. Because without skills, in whatever area those skills may be, don't always have to be necessarily as high as engineering or being a doctor or being a chemist, but there are other skills you can acquire. Once you have a clear industrial policy and implementation plan, so even the citizens know the areas where there's potential future employment opportunities. So if you're looking at, let's say, the petrochemical area, developing the salt area, it's not only highly qualified chemists and engineers who would be part of it, but other little industries which come out of it, let's say dyes or minor things to do with those areas which ordinarily we are now importing, we would be able to deal with. We need to look at the balance between the private sector and the states. We need to look at the variety of capitalism we're employing. It is the same vice president himself, His Excellency Mabudu Bawumia, who some time ago, I think I was watching a TV program, said when he was in fact talking about the housing sector and affordable housing, which are not affordable, therefore Ghanaians can't buy them or even rent them, he made a comment which stuck in my mind at that time. He said that is a reflection of what? Market failure.
Okay.
Market failure. So why do you think they're attempting to come up with this policy, which I have indicated has some defects? Because the market doesn't work. The people can't afford to pay that rent. The people are not employed. The people are suffering. They're in difficult conditions. So the market isn't working. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
Therefore, why not then take that by extension to demonstrate that in the massive unemployment that we still have in this country, both ordinary people and also more qualified graduates, it is what, again, market failure.
Speaking about education, touched on employment and other things, but let's look at health, the health sector. What is the CPP looking forward to doing?
Well, so we have some interesting things. That one I'll let you know. You hear from the manifesto committee when it comes out, because clearly it's a big issue. The NHIS is not working. It's not giving people the access they want. NDC's so-called attempt talking about primary health care, I don't think really offers any key solutions. Once again, it's about the commitment, because healthcare is very expensive. Unfortunately, very, very expensive. So you have to decide. Are you going to make monies available for the health of your nation? And that is what the prescription that we would offer for the health service that you're talking about, and make it available. Quality healthcare, free to the people of Ghana. Because for someone even now...
With monies that
we generate.
You're generating from all the ways you've talked about.
Of course.
Would you say that you have a great team that would work together with you in the elections?
I believe so, and the delegates have decided, and they have decided in a very decisive way that the chairperson and leader, Nana Frimpong Sapon Kumankuma, is a former running mate to a previous candidate of ours. She's very entrepreneurial, creative, innovative, and highly energetic woman, also a queen mother from her hometown in Doma. So the General Secretary too is also an expert in public relations, a media person. So that itself obviously has great benefits for the CPP and its communications and its campaign strategy, because we have that additional quality available to us. And they will draw a lot of people. They're a magnet to drawing additional people, some who have left and have come back, new people. And I think we are very excited, and they are very excited. They're energetic, and they're full of confidence that in this short period of time, the light will flicker in the minds of Ghanaians, that 28 years of NDC NPP is enough.
You've spoken a lot about the chairperson and the general secretary, but let's talk about your vice chair, Onzi. The last son of the founder of the party believes he's a fraud, or at least he's made allegations to that effect. What is your response to that?
Well, I think that is an internal family matter, and I believe that they themselves will resolve that issue. I don't think we want that to cloud the forward march of the party.
But doesn't it have any effect on the party? Because, I mean, if the person is part of your leadership,
of course. So it is a matter that needs to be, resolved both at the family level and at the party level. And I believe that steps are being taken to do that. I'm not in possession of all the internal, family issues. And once it's a family issue, I don't think I'd wish to make a decisive comment either way in the public domain. But I'm sure at a point in time, we'll come out with the appropriate responses.
I'm sure you've heard a lot of predictions over the years from pollster Benefson.
Okay.
And this year he's saying, well, the CPP doesn't have a lot of chance, or they can't make so much of an impact because over the years, the NPP and the NDC have been at the front line of elections. So your numbers may not really make a difference.
I think he as a pollster, he gets it right and he gets it wrong. I think even in the last election, he predicted that John Mahama was going to win, and John Mahama got beaten by 1 million votes. So I don't know where he was, thinking about then. What we know is other independent research has also been conducted. I think I've seen many articles over the last 6 months in Ghana Web talking about the vast majority of Ghanaians not being ready to vote for NPP or NDC, and vast numbers of Ghanaians still being undecided, and vast number of Ghanaians still looking for an alternative. So, well, maybe he needs to also read those surveys. Maybe he also needs to make that analysis. I don't know. But yes, he's been around for a long time. I respect him. He's a good brother of mine. But I think in this instance, we will prove him wrong.
And we do know that the former flag bearer of the PPP, Dr. Parkwisi Ndu, he's no longer fronting for the party. And arguably, he was the closest to the NPP and the NDC from previous election results. Would you say that his absence from this year's elections gives you any increased chances of getting ahead?
That one we can't tell, but we've never seen their space as our space. We have a very, particular, perspective about how we can solve this nation's problems, and we believe that it is the Akuko with a slogan of a vote for the CPP is a vote for yourself, which we believe will resonate with the people of Ghana.
Talking about that, have you ever thought of liaising with the other smaller parties to create a third front?
Well, it all depends. At the moment, I think with the PNC, the leader is still, working at Flagstaff House, and they haven't finished their processes, so we don't know. Clearly, you can't be having discussions about a third force and unity with other parties if the other party's leader is with the ruling government, and the other parties are also electing their candidates. So I think we just have to continue with our own message, with our own philosophy, with our own vibrancy and energy, and let the people of Ghana know that we are the alternative.
Have you thought of a running mate already?
Yes, so those are the events that we're planning at the moment. We're planning an event around a manifesto launch. We're planning an event around the outdooring of the running mate. We're planning events around major policy statements that we will be making prior, obviously, to the manifesto launch coming out. We're planning events, I'm sure, around 21st September, which, as you know, is a key date for the party, which comes up in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. So the leadership will be rolling out those details, I'm sure, within the next 2 or 3 days, as to the dates that we feel we can achieve those targets. And then perhaps maybe in collaboration with them, maybe they'll start dropping some names or giving some hints about potential people who are interested, and I'll let you know, well ahead of time.
Well, the NDC came out with their running mate, and there was a lot of noise about that.
Yes.
They have a woman
Yes.
in the race.
Yes.
Are you looking at getting a woman?
Actually, there's a number of criteria that is utilized in making this kind of determination. They look at age, they look at gender, they look at regional balance, they look at professional qualities, they look at experience, they look at capacity to raise resources, they look at capacity to draw votes and interest into the party. So those are things that are in the pot, as it were, that's been stirred. When they finish stirring it, you'll see what comes out.
But
It'll be a beautiful dish.
From your list so far, you have some women in there?
There are 2 women on the list, but the list has more than 7 people on it at the moment.
You have been someone who has been on the toes of the NDC and the NPP, talking about the fact that they have nothing to show because, they are looting the country's coffers and all of that. Of the 2, there was NDC and then NPP came into the picture. Which of these administrations would you say was the most corrupt?
You see, the difficulty in answering a question like that is that we fight hard as the CPP, as the Convention People's Party, to be seen as a totally independent party, not linked to either the NDC or the NPP. And there sometimes controversial issues crop up, which, depending on how you answer them, because of their presence and control in the media, you are either seen as against them or for them. So if you are against the voters register, CPP is working with the NPP. If you are for something else, then, the CPP is working with the NDC. So for us, the greatest form of corruption or bad governance is our engagements with these multinationals and the kind of economic relations we have with these organizations, which are keeping us under a stranglehold and not allowing the nation to achieve its best potential. But yes, both of these governments have performed poorly in corruption. Corruption is endemic and has been in existence not just today, since the beginning of man. because these are issues which we have to continue tackling. We have a national action corruption plan in place, which is not being properly implemented. We've had instances of corruption in so many of our state institutions. So it's a continuous battle, not unique to Ghana or West Africa or Africa, but the world. It is a continuous battle, so we'll continue.
It's easier for people to talk
Yeah,
when
of
they're
course.
not in the position
to
act. So how different would you do things if you are in the position of governance?
Also, it comes with leadership, and it comes working with a team of people who also believe in leadership in those areas. And I believe that what is clear when you look at these two larger parties is that they're a group of quasi-kleptocrats, on both sides of the divide, who are only in there because they know how to work the system there so they can grab again, either for themselves or for their cronies or their party friends or their families.
You as a party, CPP, what would the CPP do about corruption if they're voted into power?
By an all-inclusive approach, we will appoint the best people using a meritocracy and proper screening and analysis of the best people to the positions. And this, we believe, would lead to radical change in how those institutions are operated.
It's just a few months to elections.
Three.
What do you have to tell the populace? Yeah.
Well, we would like to tell the people of Ghana that a vote for CPP is a vote for yourself. We believe that a vote for the CPP is a vote for yourself because voting for the NPP or NDC, in actual fact, has become a wasted vote. So don't waste your vote on them again in December 2020. Don't vote for the NDC or NPP. Don't waste your vote on the NPP or the NDC. There is an alternative with proper policies that will impact your daily lives, provide you with opportunity, provide you with a chance to rescue yourselves from your difficulties of your circumstances. We believe that resides in a party called the Convention People's Party with myself, Ivor Kobina Greenstreet, as its presidential candidate. Please, change, and follow the Convention People's Party. Thank you.
There's an alternative. He believes change will change things in the country. And that's from Mr. Greenstreet, who is vying for the presidency on the ticket of the CPP. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, Wanda.
For speaking to Ghana Web.
It's a pleasure, always available.
And we wish you all the best in your endeavors.
And as I said, be fair to us. Don't relegate us. Give us the space for our ideas and policies to be heard.
So that's it. And we've heard everything from the CPP flag bearer. He's speaking about his plans, his intentions, initiatives the party has. He says he should watch out for the party's manifesto and his running mate. But that will be it. This is Wanda Amihigan, and you've been watching Ghana Web TV.